Hello, my name is Roxana, and the grade that I am pursuing is a B. I feel that I deserve a B because throughout the class I did do the work that it was necessary for me to achieve this grade. I consider that I did enough of my work, enough of all my discussions, my weeklies, and my projects, that I did sufficient grade. I have considered myself that I have applied the knowledge gained in lectures to do this math course. Throughout my math journey this semester, I learned a lot. For instance, we did weeklies every week, and this is my weekly. In the first week, we learned about our classmates, and then we started working on Logger Pro. We did a lot of Excels. We also worked on projects, and this is where I learned how to use ScreenPel, which does help in the future. We also did 3 different projects. The first thing I want to talk about is compound interest. I know in the last 2 interviews you asked me what compound interest was, and in the beginning I told you that I just thought it was interest when we put money into it, but throughout my math journey I started to realize that it was more than that, as compound interest is what happens when the interest you earn on savings begins to earn interest on itself. As the interest grows, this begins accumulating more rapidly and built at an exponential rate. To me, that means that if I put $100 into my account and without me touching it or anything, depending on the APR of the time, it'll be adding up by itself. At first, of course, like I said, I didn't know a lot about it, but as more that I did research on it and I learned more about it, now I can say that I know a little bit more about compound interest. And my second thing that I want to talk about is our school projects. We did a total of 3. The first project that we did was about credit, and that was in a group with me, Angel, and Nayeli. And in this project, we focused more on the FICO score, what it meant to us. And we figured out that the FICO guidelines were these. Anything in between 800 or more was excellent. Anything between 300 to 579 was poor. And in my second project, we did the project on casino games. In my second group, it was me, Ever, and Izzy. In this particular project, I had never played cards in my life, so the only thing that we did was research on it. I now understand the probability to craps. CRAP stands for challenge, recycle, acquire, and protect. In this game, if you roll a 7 or 11, you win. If you roll a 2, 3, or 12, it's called craps and you lose. It's all about probability. In my last project is the one that I found more interesting because it was something that I do want to do in the future. We had to do a project about investment, and then my particular project was about flipping houses. I didn't know a lot about flipping houses. The more I started doing research, I started realizing that it was something that I do want to do in the long run, just because flipping the house right now is good in the economy. I know for right now, as the chart states here, is not good because of how it hasn't been profitable in the last couple of years, but that is something that I do want to do in the future, is how to flip a house. I found a lot of interesting information, and I realized that you do not need to have a license to do it. You can just do it on your own. You just have to know the researches. Other than doing our weeklies and our projects, we also did weekly discussions where you would put a discussion on, and we did have to learn about it. We did a roughly 4 of each category. We did a finance, a probability and statistics, and just miscellaneous math, where you just talked about anything that we wanted to learn about. I feel that in this portion, in the beginning, I was doing what was necessary, but at the end of our journey, I just didn't do as much as I should have, which is something that I should work on, and this will help me in the future to know that I have to prioritize things. Also, as we did the discussions and everything else, we also did Excel projects, where Excel, I would say, is one of my weakest point in math. I feel like that is something that I still need to learn how to do more, because in this case, Nayeli did help me a lot with this portion. We did a couple of Excel projects. In our Excels, we did a bunny one, a people one, and a dry heat. I'm gonna do the example that we did. Give me a minute. And then this is one of the Excels that we did. It was on the people. This was based on the information that we did. You gave us the numbers to import. All we had to do was put it in Excel and drag it down. We also did a chart for it. And then this one is the one that we did for the weather. Same thing, you gave us the information on how to import it, and then we dragged it down to give us a better understanding of why we got that information. Here's a chart as well that I used in order to kind of show you the ranges of how the weather changes in the last couple of years. Lastly, I do want to talk about our last projects that we did. I know that you wanted us to take pictures of each individual project and talk a little bit about them and what we learned. In Francisco's project, I do want to state that I did learn a little bit more about retirement. I'm at the age where right now I should be thinking about retirement, and he did give us a lot of information on what to do. I know he talked about the 401k and the IRA retirement, and to be honest, I didn't know a lot about it, but as reading his project and him talking to us about it is something that I'm interested in doing in the future. So that is something that I will look forward into learning a little bit more about it. I also want to talk about Angel's project. I like how Angel did his project and he was able to put it in 5 steps and show us how math was shown in each step. This can help me in the future too. If I decide to ever want to learn how to make a shirt or something, I can use this as well as a reference. In this math journey, I just want to let you know that you did teach me a lot in regards to the real world. I feel like a lot of the stuff that I learned in class, I can apply it in the real world in the future. You taught us a lot about that math isn't just about numbers, it's about using it in the real world. We use it all the time without us thinking about it. Each interview that I had with you, I feel like I learned a little bit more and more about it. I also like how your class was taught. You made us do a lot of individual work, but you let us work in project too, so we can do it together. I also liked when you showed us how to do the 3D prints, because I feel like that's something interesting that we should know about, especially how there is an area where we can go just for being a student, and then they have all this other cool equipment that we can use. For instance, 3D print, where how you printed us some stuff and we were able to take it home. Throughout my math journey, I'm not gonna lie, I did have a lot of struggles in the beginning, because at first I was like, I don't understand this class, it's not the same like every other math class. But as you started teaching us more and more about stuff, I started to realize that it was this was a better math class for me to take, because everything was hands-on. I really like how you had us do our projects. I feel like I learned a lot about investment and about credit and so forth on. In this math journey, I really liked how Nayeli and Pablo were able to help me on a lot of stuff. Just like how I told you about Excel, that was one of my biggest challenges, just because I never really had to learn anything on Excel, and then the way that you teached us was better, how you taught us about compound interest and how to break it down, and now I'm able to use that in the future. I also liked how the projects that you had us do were something that we wanted to learn about, not just something about randomly. I also liked how we didn't really do a lot of quizzes or math tests. It was our interview with you one-on-one, and you showed us if we were on the correct path of doing things the correct way. Overall, I just want to thank you for being a great professor. I feel like I did learn a lot about this, about you and math, and how I'm able to use this in the future. At first, it was a struggle, but now I feel like I have a great understanding of math, especially in investments and probability. And I hope that you continue teaching students the same way you've been teaching for the most part, because it was a great way of us learning. Thank you for Thank you for letting me be part of this class, and I was able to have you as a teacher, and you taught me a lot. I hope to pass this class, and then the grade that I am trying to earn is a B. Thank you, and I hope you have a good night.